Hello and welcome to this lecture. So in this lecture we will discuss what the function parameter is and what is the difference between the function parameters and function arguments, and we will also know how to use the default parameters in order to make our functions much more flexible to use. So let's get into it. First, let's create one function as an info function, and let's give the three parameters to the functions: name, age, and likes. So you know how to define the function, that is from this def keyword. And let me define the function as info function. So this info function will take the three parameter, and here the parameter will be name, age, and his likes. So now just give a colon, and you just have to now define the body for the function. So what you're gonna do here is we'll just create another variable, that is detail variable, and just detail variable is something that is a string. So let me say I am, and just give this curly braces. This is for formatting, and I'll say I am here, and I am dash year old, and let me say old, and I like dash. This is basically curly braces, and just use this format and just give here name, that you just pass here, and age and likes. So this is our detail. So let's return this detail. So instead of returning, let's print this detail here, print detail. So this is our info function. So what you're going to do here is we'll just call this info now with the name. Let me say John. It should be John, and let me say age is 34, 32, and likes is Python. So let's test this and see the output. So let's hit F5, and you could see I'm John, I'm 32-year-old, and I like Python. Because we have just used this format, so name will be replaced by this braces, age will be here, and like will be in this position. So what is basically here arguments, and what is basically a default parameter or default arguments. So let me show you. So basically this is, I've already shown you that in the previous lecture, this is basically what you call argument, and this is basically parameter. So name, age, likes are a parameter. John, 32, Python is your arguments that you passed in this function. So what is default argument now? So default argument is something that you passed in the function calling. So let me say instead of likes, if I say I like Java, and let me just save it and run it, and it could show you something that is I like Python here, because while calling this from the Python, it will just replace this Python within basically Java from within Python. So here the Java will be replaced with Python in this like. But what if I just basically just replace that is should be Java, but instead here that is in the Python, let me just don't call with anything. That means we won't pass anything here, only John and 32. Let me save it and run it, and you could see there is a I'm John, I'm 32-year-old, and I like Java. So this is basically a default argument. That means when you just don't pass anything while calling the function, it will act as this is a default. That means you have to use that in the function. And it is really important, because while calling these functions, sometimes it happens that we forget to pass any arguments. In that case, instead of just crashing the app, it will just run with this default value. So but one thing you must remember while using this default value is you just have to put this default value at the last position. So if I say age equal to default value 45, and if I just put here as in likes as in Python, so in that case you'll just get a error. So let me say just save it and run it and just pass it, and you can see that is non-default argument follows default argument. That means this age, that is which is basically a default argument, should be always at last. Just remember that. So when you just save it and run it again, you could see I'm John, I'm 45 years old, and I like Python. That means now you have something that is name is John, Python is likes and age is 45. So this default should be always at the last. So just remember that, and it is really important to know this default argument. So in the next lecture, and that is very important lecture, the next lecture, which will be basically about the packing and unpacking the arguments. So see you in the next.